Hello, myself Aman09. I am here with my presentation on fluid statics. Today we are going to learn about the pressure and its measurement. Now before starting, I want to define what is called as fluid. Materials that can be deformed by the affection of tangential stresses is called fluid. Fluid means any material, any substance that can be deformed because of the action of its tangential stresses, or it takes the shape of the container because of the tangential stresses known as fluid. Now the pressure. What is pressure? A normal force exerted by a fluid per unit area is called as pressure, or a normal force exerted by anything per unit area is also called as pressure. The unit of the pressure is Newton per mm square. Now the unit of the stresses is same as the unit of the pressure. Only basic difference between the stress and pressure is stress is the internal force, whereas pressure is external. Now we have to measure the pressure. We are going to measure the pressure in three different ways: the absolute pressure, the gauge pressure, and vacuum pressure. Then what is the absolute pressure? It is equal to the gauge pressure and atmospheric pressure, or we can say that it is a summation of the gauge pressure and atmospheric pressure. It is measured relative to a full vacuum. Now the gauge pressure, the amount by which the pressure measured in a fluid exceeds that of the atmosphere, it is known as gauge pressure. Gauge pressure means the pressure exceeds the atmospheric pressure, and any pressure above the atmospheric pressure is known as gauge pressure. Then what is vacuum pressure? Any pressure below the atmospheric pressure is known as vacuum pressure. Now from this graphical representation, I want to explain the absolute pressure, the atmospheric pressure, the gauge pressure, and the vacuum pressure. As we see, the absolute pressure is the total pressure from the 0 to any pressure above the atmospheric pressure. The summation of all the pressure is known as absolute pressure. Now the gauge pressure. Gauge pressure indicate, here is the gauge pressure. Gauge pressure indicate that above the atmospheric pressure, this is the line for the atmospheric pressure, and above this line, above this dotted line, any pressure we measure is known as the gauge pressure. From here we can say that the absolute pressure is the summation of atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. Now the vacuum pressure. This is the atmospheric pressure, and below the atmospheric pressure, the any pressure which is below the atmospheric pressure is known as the gauge pressure. The total pressure minus absolute pressure is also known as the gauge pressure. As we see from the graph, the gauge pressure is, if we remove the atmospheric pressure from the absolute pressure, we can get the gauge pressure. Now the vacuum pressure, when we remove the absolute pressure from the atmospheric pressure, we are going to find the vacuum pressure. Thank you.